Johnson COVID vaccine right now is stuck in limbo. A CDC panel met today, but members say they really need more information before they can recommend changes or even suggest extending that pause.
And the uncertainty is only making some minority populations even more hesitant to get the shot. So let's take a look at vaccine equity in Pennsylvania. About 65% of Pennsylvanians who are fully vaccinated are white. Only about 3% of those who are fully vaccinated are black. Many of the vaccine clinics set up in black communities relied on the one and done aspect of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to encourage people to get the shot. So what happens to those clinics now? Our Serafina James spoke to local leaders to find out.
Long before the pandemic, black and brown communities have been historically underserved and faced discrimination, leading to some hesitancy when it came to getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, with the latest news on the pause on the J&J vaccine, I'm wondering if that skepticism will grow.
For people who are watching,
I took my question to Dr. Tracy Conti, UPMC McKeesport family medicine physician and member of the Black Equity Coalition.
we know that in black and brown communities, the risk of COVID was higher. We also know that the risk of death was higher.
The coalition, comprised of predominantly black doctors, public health researchers, and elected officials, formed a response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We started out with specifically looking at COVID and the effects of COVID and have expanded that to more of a broader sense of health.
Recently, the group released a report highlighting the racial disparity in the vaccine rollout in Allegheny County, finding 86% of the county's white population and less than 9% of the county's black population has been vaccinated. I asked Dr. Conti, with the latest pause on Johnson & Johnson increased vaccine hesitancy in minority communities.
My concern is, once it has, this pause is over, and that the Johnson & Johnson is back on the market, that there has to be a transparent education about the side effects, the risks.
Dr. Conti tells me UPMC has future vaccine clinics planned where they'll use either Pfizer or Moderna. And despite the latest news from J&J, so far, the minority community has been responding in numbers and booking appointments.
Is there a certain trend you're seeing filling up those spots?
In black and brown community.
Also on Wednesday, Steelers legends Franco Harris and Mel Blount used their platform to encourage African Americans to get vaccinated.
We can win this, but we have to get vaccinated.
If you're interested in getting a vaccine, UPMC tells me they have a lot of availability for their drive-up clinic at Pittsburgh Mills on Thursday, where no appointment is needed. In Pittsburgh, Serafina James, Channel 11 News.
All right.